ambition that steals our reason. We're soon behind those invisible bars. Age of freedom, there's no escaping. We fabricated a world of our own, world of our own, world of our own.
Is there a mask behind the face? Is it a sleeveless ace? Can a smile conceal a sneer? How do we see clear? Answers can change the question line every time. What's going on? What's going on? Remember all those cracks we feared beneath the clear veneer. Now they are bursting wide apart. Is this just the start? How does it feel to lose control? Feels like hell. So who's a friend and who's a foe? Can we tell? What's going on? I wanna know. What's going on? I wanna know. What's going on?
There comes a time just once a life. You know for sure it's second sight. When all your feelings once secure go running out through open doors. Love can't hide, that's the crime. Turns you in every time. Helpless love walks the line. Hearts on fire, but I'll risk mine. Here's my heart. light shine. You know you're sitting, but you're full of doubt. Now here she comes, here she comes. She's gonna have you lying back and forth. So what